And here I am again back to Italy, and this is actually my fourth trip in 2 years, you know. I had so many trips to catch up after 2 years of pandemic. Now in this video I want to tell you all you need to know before renting a car in Italy. I'm actually been filming this video for the last 2 years, believe it or not, with trips that goes from the south of Italy, in Sicily, in Tuscany, in Venice as well, so Milan at the moment. You will have plenty of information to make a decision on what to take, where to drive, and all of the tips about driving as well. But let's have a start. And here I am in Umbria talking about the driving license. Which one works in Italy? Now, if you have a European driving license, then it's no worries, you can drive everywhere you want in Italy. If your license is not from Europe, like in my case, my driving license is Australian, then I needed to apply for an international driving license, and so you have to do, in case you're not from Europe. Now, you can maybe be able to rent a car without a European driving license, just with your license, but then if you have a trouble, the insurance may not pay. So my suggestion here is always to do an international driving license, and it costs between $20 and $30. It really depends on where you come from. So you have a great peace of mind. When you get the car, take it fully insurance. That's very, very important, especially if you think about driving into a few cities, like, you know, in Tuscany, in Umbria here, in Sicily, in wherever you want, really, because the streets become narrower, because the parkings are narrower as well. It's easy to scratch the car, so easy. And once you take it back to the rental company, they may charge you €200-300 for that. But if you rent the car full insurance, you have no worries. You pay a little bit more, but you're on holiday, so you want to have a no worries experience. Driving in Italy is on the right side, like in most of Europe except the UK. If you're not used to it, like I'm not really used to it, I've been living in Australia for the last 20 years. What I usually do is just take it easy for the first couple of days, follow the flow. What I hate the most in Italy are the roundabouts, which are literally everywhere. Italians are in love for roundabouts, I think. I totally get it, you get a better traffic flow, but still, if you're used to the left side, it becomes a little bit challenging. So follow the flow and it will be all right. I usually rent my car here in Italy through an aggregator, which is a website that compares the best prices from local and international companies, giving the best deal. So what do you want more? Plus, there are a couple of things that I love about this website. First one, it works almost like an Airbnb in a way that every single rental company is actually ranked based on the feedbacks of the customer, which is great because you know straight away how the rental company works. And the second thing is that they provide full insurance for just €8 a day, which is great, honestly, because it's such a great peace of mind, you know. Renting a car in Italy is actually not too expensive, especially if you avoid the peak time, which is July and August. By law, the rental companies have to provide the car with a collision damage waiver. However, they leave a deductible of €3,000 to €4,000, which is a ton of money. And that's why I always suggest full insurance. And if you do it on the aggregator website I was mentioning before, you know, it's gonna cost only €8 to €10. Parking in Italy is color-coded, which means if you park between white lines, it's going to be free. If you park between blue lines, you have to pay for the ticket, and there are a few also apps where you can use to pay for parking, or you just use your coins or credit cards. And finally, if it's orange lines, don't use it because this is usually used only by cars with special needs and also for loading and unloading near the shops. Now, a little tip that I can give you, you see probably the sign up there, it's telling you that you can park maximum 1 hour, and the way to indicate when you start the parking is actually using a simple clock that is provided with a car. Let me show you one of them so you can put the time when you start the parking. I'm sure you already know that Venice you can't access with a car, but you can park the car just in Piazzale Roma, which is the start of Venice, where the train also arrives. There is a parking spot, it's called Park 280, where you park only for €2 an hour, which is absolutely a bargain for Venice. And if you decide to stay here for the night, you pay €20 per day. The only issue with this parking is that it gets crowded very soon in the day. So on popular days, probably you won't get a spot. But outside of the peak season, it's not a problem. We waited about 3-4 minutes and then we got in. Driving in the center of the old cities, I'm thinking here of Palermo, for example, Rome, Milan, Florence, and I could keep going, is always a problem because the streets become narrower. And also there is the ZTL. The ZTL basically is an area of the old city where you can't go in unless you have a permit. And if you have a hotel inside the ZTL area, you should better ask for the permit before venturing in. Otherwise, if there are video cameras, you may get a ticket. What's the solution for that? You just park outside and take the transportation inside, or you walk inside. Like for example, I am here in Perugia, in Umbria, in the center of Italy. I park the car here in Piazzale Europa and I'm taking the escalator straight to the old town. How good is that? What about the petrol station in Italy? Well, it's like every petrol station in the world. Now, there is one thing which may be different. You have a possibility to do it yourself, the petrol, or to be serviced. So someone will come there and will put the petrol inside the car for you. If you prefer the second option, you have to be prepared to pay about 10 to 15% more, because that's the cost they put on top of a liter of petrol. If your car is an electric car, then you need to download a couple of apps that I will put into the video description, where you have a map of all of the electric points where you can charge your car. Like you see this one here, provided by Enel. It's as easy as that. You come here, you put your plug, and that's it. Of course, you have to plan, the loading time. So it's always best to plan where you want to charge it, so you can have maybe 30-40 minutes for a walk, like I having here in Tuscany, and then you take your car fully loaded. Speed limits in Italy, there are typically 3 of them. One is 50 km per hour inside towns of the city. One is 130 km per hour, which is the highway, and everywhere else usually is 90 km per hour. It goes without saying that it's much better to follow the limits, because there are checks everywhere, like this thing here on my back, where they check the speed with 2 cameras, and then they're gonna send the fine to the rental company. But besides charging you the fine, it's gonna charge you also admin cost, which is quite expensive. Just a quick interruption to say that I've actually made other guides and videos if you want to rent a car in Milan, if you want to rent a car in Tuscany, if you want to rent a car in Sicily and other regions and destinations of Italy. So you should better check out actually in the video description, because I'm gonna put the links there. Of course, the use of a seat belt is mandatory both on the front and also on the back seats. Another thing to be aware if you're traveling with kids is that you need a child seat if your kid is less than 12 years old or is smaller than 135 centimeters. I have actually a full table in my guide in the video description for all the kind of choices that you need based on the age of a kid. Petty crime in Italy. My suggestion here is to never leave anything into the car, both valuable or not valuable. For example, I would never leave a bag. Even, you know, if you're jumping to the supermarkets for a couple of seconds to pick up something like I'm doing now. Because smashing into the car and the damage is not worth the steal, but actually the cost of the repair to the car and the annoyance that you have to take the car to repair. If you have to, really, just put everything here behind, it's all hidden, and nobody's gonna take it. But even that, it's not a thing I would suggest. If you really have to visit a place, you know, meanwhile you are driving, which is absolutely fine, leave everything inside here. But when you arrive, don't open it, because maybe if there's someone that will see that you have something inside, then they're gonna open the car. I've just finished to check in, and I wanted to briefly talk about the difference between public transportation and renting a car. If you think about visiting just the major destinations and major cities of Italy, like Florence, Venice, Milan, and Rome, then it's much better actually to take public transportation to go from city to city. And the train, honestly, is the best service that you can have. Usually it's cheaper and very quick too. Just think that between Milan and Rome is just 3 hours. But if you want to stop along the route, you know, to see really the small villages, the other towns, you know, the other destinations, then probably it's much better to rent your car. And with that, I'm gonna close this video. I hope you did enjoy. Subscribe to the channel, put a like, and I'll see you in the next destination.